Hi, I'm Griffin Bakken, and today I will be presenting on Marie Antoinette. Early life. Maria Antonia Josephina Johanna was born on November 2nd, 1755, at Hofburg Palace in Vienna, Austria. She was the 15th and youngest daughter of Empress Maria Theresa, ruler of the Habsburg Empire, and her father was Emperor Francis I, Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. Born into the Habsburg family, she resided in Schönbrunn Palace as well as Hofburg Palace. She lived a life of luxury and received the finest tutoring from a very young age. Even with the tutoring, Marie Antoinette struggled academically. By age 10, it was said that she could still not write in German, French, or Italian, which were all languages of the court. It was also said that conversing with her was very difficult at times, as she didn't fully understand how to converse and speak with people. While she struggled academically, she did excel in the arts, such as music and dance. It was said she had a very beautiful voice and would sing at family gatherings. At age 14, she was married off to the heir to the French throne, King Louis XVI. Marie Antoinette and King Louis XVI. Marie Antoinette did not enjoy her marriage to Louis, regardless of how important and prestigious the marriage was. Louis enjoyed hunting and tinkering in his workshop, while Marie enjoyed things such as the arts and fashion. These two different ways to spend their time led to a separation between the two, as they didn't have much in common. She was also constantly ridiculed for her lack of ability to produce a male heir. However, that wasn't her fault. The blame truly fell on King Louis, as he struggled sexually and could not receive an erection, leading to the couple not being able to consummate their marriage for 7 years. Eventually, however, Marie's oldest brother, Emperor Joseph of Austria, wrote and convinced Louis to have an operation, which was a circumcision, to fix this. They consummated their marriage in August 1777, and in December 1778 they welcomed their first daughter, Maria Theresa Charlotte. Their second pregnancy ended in a miscarriage, but on October 22nd, 1781, she gave birth to her first male heir, Louis Joseph Xavier Francois. Marie Antoinette also grew very bored with the endless court rituals and the ever so strict rules of the court put in place by Louis XIV. She also grew very bored of her day-to-day activities and her political position. While she did originally not care for Louis and the marriage, she eventually grew to care for Louis, as he was very loyal, and he was noted to never take a mistress, which is very unheard of for a king at that time. Arts and fashion. Marie loved fashion and was a huge influence on fashion in France. She also was a patron of the arts and loved musicals and productions. She would participate in her own plays and musicals, at her own personal theater that was built specifically just for her. She also would go on to set several trends for the court, and made several changes, such as getting rid of the use of heavy makeup on women. Changes like this led to a lot of blowback, as people didn't appreciate her lack of respect for the court. The general population grew angry over time with her, as she would consistently spend over her allowance in order to purchase the most luxurious and expensive accessories and dresses. Louis allowed this as well, which led to even more frustration from the general population with the monarchy. Growing frustrations with Marie Antoinette. As mentioned before, the queen had a large spending habit, buying the finest clothes and accessories she could afford. She would also spend serious sums of money on her gambling habits. Marie's changes at court also created dissent, as members of the nobility felt offended by her lack of care and respect for the traditional court etiquette. This led to members of the nobility spreading several rumors about the queen. They also disliked her ties to Austria, due to the fact that she was a member of she was a member of the Habsburg family. They worried that she would favor Austria over France, and there were several situations in which they accused her of sending money or siding with that Austria over her own French country. The biggest controversy that Marie Antoinette had was the diamond necklace affair. This was one of the biggest hits to the Queen's reputation. diamond necklace affair all started when the jewelers Boehmer and Bassenge failed to sell the famous diamond necklace of King Louis XV's mistress. The Queen Marie Antoinette had refused as she had claimed it was too expensive. At this point, a questionable, noble woman, Jeanne de la Motte, used the necklace in an attempt to gain more political power. She was the mistress of Cardinal de Rohan, who was French ambassador. He had fallen out of favor with the queen, so La Motte had convinced the noble that if he got the necklace for the queen, he would be able to regain his favor with her. Through a series of forged letters and a meeting with a prostitute look-alike of the queen, the cardinal was convinced this was real, so he set up a payment plan with the jewelers in an attempt to acquire the necklace. The plan was exposed, however, when he failed to pay the first installment, and the jewelers decided to go directly to the queen to collect the payment themselves. Enraged, the queen had both the cardinal and La Motte tried. The cardinal was then found innocent, much to the displeasure of the queen. The court had said, due to the already poor reputation of the queen, it could be assumed that the queen might use a middleman to acquire such an item, and possibly exchange even sex for the necklace itself. So the cardinal had the full right to believe that all of this was true. Rumors also started spreading involving the legitimate father of some of her children. People started to question whether King Louis was the legitimate father of each one of her children, as there were several instances in which she was accused of cheating. On one occasion, the noble people noticed that after a close friend of Marie had visited her, 9 months later she had gave birth to a child. So they had assumed that he was the true father of the child. Fall of the monarchy. On October 1st, 1789, a banquet was held for the royal guard. With many of the citizens starving and a shortage of bread, the French people grew even more angry with the monarchy. On October 4th, in response, a mob demanded bread from the king. On the next day, a mob of primarily women marched to the palace, demanding bread yet again, also expressing their desires to kill the queen. The queen had requested to retreat, however King Louis had refused. He had also refused to fire or attack the oncoming mob. The mob then snuck into the palace and made their way to the queen's room, only to discover she had narrowly escaped, fleeing practically naked from her own bed. The mob, still angry, demanded the monarchy return to Paris, instead of living in the palace of Versailles. The king agreed, having little to no power at this point, in the face of the large angry masses. So the king and the queen moved to Tuileries Palace. At one point they attempted to escape to Austria with the help of the queen's brother, but this plan was thwarted as they were recognized and caught just before the border. A French citizen had noticed that he had seen a man with an expensive gold coin and a woman who happened to look beautiful and much like the queen herself. So he had rode ahead and warned the village that the queen and the king were attempting to escape. The villagers then captured them and escorted them back to the palace. It is said that Marie's hair turned white due to the pure stress of the situation. In a last attempt to regain royal control, Marie contacted her family and friends in Austria and Prussia. The nations threatened France. However, France declared war shortly after. This was not due to the king, however. The king tried to veto and they had overruled him. The queen's close friend, Madame Lamballe, was imprisoned and massacred along with many other nobles. They paraded her dismembered body in front of the queen's window in order to strike fear. Eventually, the king was tried and found guilty of treason. He was executed in December 1792. After the queen's son was taken, after the queen's son was taken, he eventually died 2 years later. She was then placed in solitary confinement for nearly the remainder of her time. On October 14th, she was then tried for orchestrating orgies, depleting the treasury, as well as sending money to Austria. Her son was also forced to come out and testify against her, claiming she abused him and engaged in incest. She was then found guilty of treason, depleting the treasury, and conspiracy against the state. Death of the Queen. On October 16, 1792, she was escorted to be publicly executed. On the way over, it was said that she still kept her posture and did everything to maintain her dignity as the queen. At 12:15 p.m., she was executed. She was executed through the use of a guillotine. Her final words were, "Pardon me, sir, I did not do it on purpose," as she had accidentally stepped on the executioner's shoes. The impact of Marie Antoinette's death. Marie Antoinette's death was used as a symbol by the French people. They wanted her to symbolize how not to rule the French regime and how they should avoid those kind of people in power. The French cheered when she died, so they viewed it as necessary to further their own revolution to becoming a republic. There is my bibliography. Thank you for listening.